Okay, so after that postural analysis, now we're going to do some palpation on the child. Once again, I like the mom to be holding the child. And when we palpate the child, I like to do this quickly but not rushed. In other words, I don't want to have my hands linger on the child where they'll get annoyed with it, but I don't want to rush through it either, okay? So what we're going to do is first static palpation. We're going to come from the top down. First thing I'm going to do is check the atlas, okay? By checking the transverse processes, I'm going to use my thumb and middle finger. My other hand's going to support the baby's head, okay, but not covering the anterior fontanelle. And I'm going to come right in off the occiput and just check the transverse process of atlas and then release. What I'm doing there is checking to see which transverse is more superior than the other. Not which one's more prominent, but which one is more superior, which gives me more of a clue of laterality with that, okay? If I'm suspecting there's some laterality, then I may do a little motion at this point. And what I'll do is have the baby turn their head this way, maybe have an object or something that they look at, and then I'll do a little extra motion to see if there's any resistance in there or to see how it moves. If there's rotational component to this problem, then the mastoid and the atlas transverse process will move simultaneously rather than having the occiput move first and then the atlas TP follow. The same thing we do is with lateral flexion, okay, is we take the baby's head, laterally flex over this way. If the mastoid should move first, atlas TP should follow. If they both move simultaneously, then we have a fixation in that area, in laterality. And laterality is the primary misalignment of atlas, okay? So we can do that on both sides with it. Next, static, go back to static, C2, all the way down through the sacral segments. What we have there is posteriority is the primary misalignment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first take my fingers and run it down the paraspinal musculature through the cervicals and then through the thoracics and then through the lumbars. And what I'm looking for there is just to feel if there's any type of tonal problem, if there's any type of heat or cold areas, if there's any type of muscular rigidity, if there's any kind of edema in this area. I'm also going to observe the child to see if the child moves or reacts to any particular point. Say I'm here and the child does this, where it moves and reacts a little bit. That's an indicator there may be some kind of involvement there. That's just statically going down there. Now with motion, posteriority is the most prevalent type of misalignment. I'm going to do P to A glide. I'll come in here and just do a little P to A pressure. And I like to stay on the lamina-pedicle junctions over here, on the transverse processes in the thoracics. Sometimes the spinuses, sometimes the mammillars and the lumbars. And I'm just checking independent areas to see if everything's moving properly, that I have no fixation in there. Now don't forget to include the tubercles on the sacrum because you have 4 sacral segments at that time. So we're going to do the same thing there. Okay, so we're checking with motion like that. The other thing I may do is I can check motion with the parent sitting down. Here, we could do this, and place the child across the parent's lap, just like that, okay? And we can actually take the feet this way and check for motion in the lumbars by extending up like so, okay? Here, 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 okay? And we're checking for motion in the lumbars, and we can do the sacral segments the same way, that way. Another thing we can do for motion is check the SI joints by taking 2 fingers into the, say this time the left SI joint, take the ipsilateral leg, hold it just above the knee, extend the leg up, and feel for if any fixation in edema in the joint. The SI joint here, and then we can do the same side here, feeling the same way. That'll show us some motion fixation throughout the area. Okay? Now one more thing we're going to do, and we're going to have mom hold the child up to her shoulder again. Okay? Then I'm going to do some instrumentation at this point. I use a little thermofocus here, okay, if you can see that. It's a digital infrared thermometer, and what I'm going to do is check am I right there? I'm going to check to see the temperature in the atlas transverse fossa area. I will move in or out until the circles are converge upon each other, and I'll release, and we get a certain temperature there. Of course, with this doll, it's 80.7, which is a lot different than a human would be. Then we're going to go to the other side, and we check the temperature there. Same thing, and same number of that, which would be on a doll. On a human, don't look for a normal temperature. Look to see how consistent the findings are from one atlas transverse fossa to the other. Okay, it should be within 0.2 of a degree. If it's greater than 0.2 of a degree, then there's a neurological imbalance, and that's another indication that the child may need to be adjusted with that.